What's up, everyone? Today we are going to be looking at my hydroponic basil system, or just really the system that I'm using right now to grow hydroponically in my little garden shed. So we are going to look at this right here. 4 different types of basil. I'll go over what I'm growing it in, the way I'm thinking about it, and how to create a huge basil jungle, if that is what you so desire. All right, stay tuned. The first thing we'll talk about is the tent. So I've got a Gorilla Grow tent. It's a 2-foot by 4-foot tent. Plenty of room, and I'm not even utilizing all the room in this right now. And then what I'm growing with over here is a Nextlight Veg 8. So this is a full spectrum white LED, and of course this is maybe a little overkill for this system, but I have it, and it is a perfect 2-foot by 4-foot footprint up here. So that's why I'm using it right now. And then this here is just a hydroponic system. So this is from Root Farm Hydro, although it's basically just a deep water culture system. So you could, of course, DIY this. I'm just testing it out because they were kind enough to send out a kit. And you know what? I want to say thanks and include it in a video and kind of show how it works. So what do we have going on here? Well, as you can see, we've got a couple different types of basil. These are cuttings that I took from my how to clone basil video, which you can check out if you look in the upper right hand corner right now. So as you can see, we've got a Genovese variety here, or a sweet basil, Genovese here, and then here's one of my favorite varieties of all time. So this is lettuce leaf basil, and then over here we have Thai basil. So what you're gonna see here is, look, you've got 2 growing tips here, 2 growing tips here, 2 growing tips here, and as well 2 growing tips right there. So what should that tell you? That should tell you that I have already topped this basil in order to bush it out more and start having each of these little quadrants really bush out and get a little crazy, because what I want is I want this basil basically to fill up this space right here, and I want to have this be a basil production system that just gets a little out of hand until, you know, maybe I get sick of basil or I want to switch out a system, test something else out. So let's figure out exactly what's going on with this system. If we look under here, we can see, again, it is basically a deep water culture system. Like I mentioned, I've got my nutrients in there. Let me take the rest of these off. And what you can see is you can see the water ring where the pump pulls water upwards. So our pump is down there. It's pulling water upwards into this ring. And then when these plants are in the beginning stages of their life, what this system will do, let me lift this one up right here, is it will shoot water out like that. So before the roots drop into the solution, you actually get some irrigation. So this is kind of like a hybrid top drip hydroponic system combined with a deep water culture system. And you know, the water that's throwing out of the ring here is also aerating the solution as well. So you've got a nice little thing going on here. So all I did was when I took my cuttings, I actually placed the cuttings directly into this system, and then I just let the roots grow. And as you can see on all of these, the roots are growing, some slower than others. I found that the Thai basil is a bit slower of a grower in a hydroponic system. The Genovese obviously responds very well. You can see the roots dropping down into both of those. And then lettuce leaf, again, also a bit slower of a grower, but nevertheless, we can still see some vigorous and healthy root development there as well. So that is the way that I'm approaching this system. Now, of course, there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to deep water culture, hydroponics, basil, all of that. But what I'm going to do here is, you can see I've got my basil topped, right? So we've talked about this, how to prune your basil so it grows forever. I have a video on that you can check out. So that's what I'm going to be doing. As soon as I see any flowering buds, or as soon as I see nodes that are maybe a bit stretched, although I don't anticipate that, this is a very powerful light. I'm going to be pruning it and trying to shape these so they each kind of take up their own quadrant and really get nice and bushy. And then I'm going to have what I've always wanted, which is basically an unlimited supply of basil. Now let's talk about nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, let's talk nutrients, let's talk lighting. What am I doing for all of this? Now basil is a pretty forgiving plant. Remember, we're only growing it for its vegetation, so we don't really care too much about moving it through a nutrient cycle, like going from vegetative growth into flowering. We don't actually want it to flower. So keeping it in that mild to aggressive vegetative growth phase, no matter what type of nutrients you're using. I personally like either General Hydroponics 3-part series, or right now, because I'm using this root farm system, I'm using their nutrients to test that out as well, and I'll leave a link to all that in the description down below. I like to keep it anywhere in that range. I go somewhere around 1,000 parts per million, and that's the one that I personally use right now. But again, I do have a video, boop, 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 right there, that explains electrical conductivity, total dissolved solids, and parts per million, and the various ways that all of those are measured, because it can be pretty confusing. So check that out if you don't understand these concepts. And honestly, it's a good refresher course on what it all means, because there's just so many different ways to measure it. If you ask me, electrical conductivity, best way to do it in general, but every now and then, maybe I want to do it by parts per million. Sometimes you're just more used to what you're used to, right? So I like to keep it somewhere around there. And then when it comes to the lighting, like I said, this is a 400 watt equivalent LED system that throws out quite a bit of light. So I like to keep this on 24/7. As far as I know, and I'm not a basil expert or a basil god or anything like that, but as far as I know, basil can tolerate 24/7 light and actually responds quite well to it. I know out in my soil garden out there, it does really well with absolutely the most light it can possibly get. Of course, outdoors, it's not getting 24 hours a day. But these have been responding really, really well. And then what you'll notice is as soon as the roots hit the water, so as soon as these roots hit the actual nutrient solution, the growth rate will absolutely explode. Because if you think about it, they are being bathed in an oxygenated, correct temperature, correct amount of nutrients, and the nutrients are available, boom, right away. And so that's what is making hydroponic plants grow a lot quicker. The fact that they have everything they need. I mean, imagine if you, it's like that movie WALL-E. Imagine if you're sitting there, I'm not saying this is good. Humans, we don't want to go this way. And also even plants, there's a lot of benefits to growing in soil as well. But imagine if you were living in the WALL-E environment and you sat in your chair, you snapped your fingers, they brought some burgers and fries to you, and you just blah, 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 you just ate it all. You would get pretty big, maybe not strong, maybe not muscular, you'd get big though. And for our plants, that's what's happening in a hydroponic system. Basically, it's the WALL-E effect. They're getting everything they need. They don't have to work too hard to get it, and that is what explodes their growth rate. So we can see this Genovese basil right in front of the camera right there. That is getting so much of what it needs, and it's just blowing up because look, the roots for the Genovese have escaped into the system. Let me pull it out really quickly. This is the longest one. There we go. This is the longest one. So these are just dunking in. Like I would say anywhere from there downwards is ending up in the water right now. And so that's why this basil is the most productive basil right now. So this one's really going to start to take off. It's got enough leaf mass to start to really photosynthesize, take up all those nutrients, and then just like compound its growth rate. That's what's going on with this one. So I'm very excited to see how that goes. And then once the Thai basil, the lettuce leaf basil, all the other ones get in there, they're going to blow up as well. So if you have any questions about hydroponic basil, definitely let me know. I would love to answer them in the comments down below, or just the hydroponic system in general. Again, it's the Root Farm Hydro system, but it's a deep water culture system, so you can just build it if you want to. You don't need to buy this. I do find that the little watering ring is kind of nice. It's kind of cool to have the irrigation if you're dropping clones in, so it can kind of function as a cloning plus a growing system, which is always nice. So until next time, guys, good luck in the garden, keep growing, and on a future video, you will see what's going on in that system right over there. So stay tuned and good luck in the garden. I'll see you in the next one.